Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hear Movie Podcast. Wait, yes, Hear Movie Podcast. I've done so many podcasts in the last couple days, I've been forgetting which one I'm doing at the time when I start the show. My name is Adam Portrais, and I'm joined by Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I have verified that Elton John performed all his own stunts.
I think he did too, man. And I want to know where I can get some of that tracksuit at, boy. Sean is out this week again. Trust me, I don't think anyone cries more than him on account of this because he definitely wanted to see this movie. However, because we've asked people over on our Facebook page and all this other stuff to fill out a survey, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We've gotten from you guys a little bit of a message. Hey, when Sean's not on, see if you can get somebody else to fill in. And we've done that this week. And it's actually someone who is very nice and goes down to patreon.com/HMP and donates to the program. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Krista Contino Sambi. I hope I pronounced that right.
Hey, Ma, I'm a field agent.
And so Krista is going to be joining us for this review. So, Krista, get ready with that Stallone connection. So,
just call me Roxy.
All right. Lean in on your mic a little bit there. We're fine. So today we are going to be reviewing Kingsman Golden Circle. When the first Kingsman movie came out, I think we all enjoyed that very, very much. So what are we going to do when we have a hit movie? Well, we're going to make a sequel out of it. That's what we're going to do, and that's what we'll be doing today is reviewing that sequel. Speaking of which, though, I like it when people do their very best, because, the sequels are usually good, but the first movie's always the best, and the people that always are the best are the people that go down and give us a 5-star review on iTunes, a.k.a. a humdinger.
Humdinger?
And this one comes from username Davis21217. I guess the rest of those Davises were taken. It's entitled Hero Movie Podcast. Apt enough, that's who we are. Just found this podcast and have been binge listening. I can't get enough. And enough is spelled with E-N-U-F-F.
Just like Chip's Enough's last name.
Very funny how they kid around with each other, and I like how it's not full of cursing. Keep up the good work and can't wait to hear more podcasts in the future. That's from Devin. Devin, a.k.a. Davis21217. Thank you for that 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger.
And we really appreciate anybody who goes down and does that, man. It just helps us kind of go up in the rankings. So when people are searching for stuff, man, they come up with us. That's what I like.
And Devin, if you're listening, go check out the Poop Hulk t-shirt.
Oh, yes, there's a Poop Hulk t-shirt. If you I need to link it up to the Facebook page proper to where we have the shop button, and then people can just be directed straight to that. But we do have a lot of HMP shirts available up there, so check out that. Check out the show notes. The link is in there if you want to help do that stuff, man. We really appreciate it. Krista has a couple preacher stuff and things of that nature, right?
Yes, I do.
So,
I had to scrape off the actual art and then just wear the t-shirt.
Don't want to have anybody knowing what you listen to. That's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't wear that stuff and then put pictures of me on Twitter in it or anything.
Listen, I've worn a shirt or two with my face on it. I can't say that I haven't. So, it's what we do.
If I ever get around to getting a t-shirt with my face on it, that's the only thing I'm going to wear every day.
That would not, honestly, if there were any of us in the group that would wear a t-shirt with just solely his face on it, it would be you.
I think it'd be Sean.
Listen, I don't know who bought it, but somebody did buy a Keenan on AMC t-shirt. So somebody's wearing that. I don't know that he would ever tell us that he actually bought it, but somebody bought it. I'll tell you that much. So there's been at least one sale of those out there. So we'll see. So like I said, we're going to be reviewing Kingsman: The Golden Circle here. Are you comfortable with the review, Krista? You seen everything? You think you got it under control? You think you can fill the shoes of Sir Sean Keenan?
I think I'm going to have to do my best.
No, you're going to have to do your best. That's all we can ask. So let's go ahead and listen to the trailer for Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
We're from the Kingsmen tailor shop in London. Maybe you've heard of us?
marks the beginning of a new age. Wait, I'm gonna show you. Say goodbye to the Kingsmen.
Kind of got a bit of a save the world situation here.
Welcome to Statesman.
As your American cousins, we'll be working side by side.
Let's get started.
We've got brains, skills, skipping rope.
It's a lasso.
Whatever. It's very American.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Make it, man.
Do you know what that means?
I forgot that bit was on there. That was the trailer for Kingsman: The Golden Circle, our new release review of this week. Here's the IMDb plotline. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. When their headquarters are destroyed and the world is held hostage, the Kingsman journey leads them to the discovery of an allied spy organization in the U.S. These two elite secret organizations must band together to defeat a common enemy. This is brought to us by the same people that brought us the first Kingsman movie, written by Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn, directed by Matthew Vaughn, starring Taron Egerton, Mark Strong, Jeff Bridges, Colin Firth, Hannah Alstrom, Channing Tatum, Halle Berry, and Poppy Delevingne, which I found out is actually the older sister of Clara Delevingne. Can the older Delevingne outact the younger one? We'll see.
It's not a very high bar. You're setting.
Yeah, well, fair enough. All right, so let's get down to it. I got to move. I got a lot of things on the screen here, so 2 seconds.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
All right, Bruce, what do you have for the comic book connection this week, sir?
Well, when Mark Miller wrote The Secret Service, it featured Mark Hamill falling afoul of nefarious machinations. The movie adaptation included Mark Hamill, but had him playing a character rather than himself. I think the sequel set out to right that wrong with Elton John. Now, the comic has had 2 follow-up stories, both written by Rob Williams rather than Mark Miller. One was titled The Big Exit and it appeared exclusively in Playboy magazine, which I suppose is still a thing, though I haven't seen one since the internet was invented. And the second is The Red Diamond, which is currently being published by Image Comics. Now, I find it interesting that Miller has farmed out the writing duties of the sequels. But Elton John hasn't appeared in any of those sequels yet, but here's to holding on to the hope that he does. Now, something I noticed that may be of interest is that, in the comics at least, Kingsman and Kick-Ass exist in the same universe. Now, in Kick-Ass 3, issue number 8, references are made to the events in Kingsman: The Secret Service, which opens up a world of possibilities. Now, of course, Matthew Vaughn famously directed the first Kick-Ass movie as well as both Kingsman flicks. So how about a crossover? Would there be a market for a movie where Eggsy and Hit Girl team up to take down a villain played by Regis Philbin? Or how about a resurrected Big Daddy played by Nicolas Cage fighting against the resurrected Harry played by Colin Firth? Or listen to this, Adam. How about a dance-off between Channing Tatum and Clark Duke, having a shirtless dance-off at that? But here's where the problem happens and all my dreams break down. Mark Strong, known as Merlin in Kingsman, also played McLovin's dad in Kick-Ass. So maybe this isn't a problem. Perhaps we find out that they were twins separated at birth, with one being sent to the UK while the other stayed in the USA. Or just for kicks, they could say they were triplets and bring Mark Strong back for the crossover and give him, I don't know, maybe a Portuguese accent. Of course, Hit Girl doesn't trust him. Eggsy wants to hug him. And the big plot twist is he pulls off a mask and it's really Regis Philbin. It was the villain trying to infiltrate them and prey on their insecurities the whole time. I know Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn are already working on a third Kingsman movie, but call me up, guys, before you get to the final draft. I've got a $1 billion idea over here. Matthew Vaughn, Jane Goldman, if you want to, you can just go to chubbywizard.com and you can leave me a 90-second voicemail courtesy of SpeakPipe. And for the record, I'm only asking for 30% of the gross.
You don't understand. Where's Gelman at?
I mean, how many people would be dying to see a movie where Mark Strong pulls off his face and he's really Regis Philbin?
And then Regis Philbin rips off his shirt and he's Regis Philbin. Have you seen that man with his shirt off? It's glorious. He could give Stallone a run for his money. I'm not kidding. You look at that stuff and you're just like, oh, that's got to be Photoshop, man. You're like 85 years old. Regis Philbin's ripped, yo. You wouldn't know it.
I think there's a lot of money to be made with Regis Philbin as the villain in a kick-ass Kingsman crossover.
I'd buy it. I would buy that.
Yeah, man. I honestly think that there'd be people that got excited for that. With Matthew Vaughn directing?
You got my $10, man. I'll do it. So we, like I said, The Kingsman was a movie that we reviewed on Hero Movie Podcast a couple years back here. Go ahead and check out the archives, man. And while you're there, look at all the other awesome stuff that's in there, man. So I think we both enjoyed it. I can't remember our grades right off the top of my head, but
I think it got Dick Grayson's, man.
I think it did,
Yeah,
if memory serves. So Krista, where did the first Kingsman movie fall with you?
Well, I wanted to say first that the reason I actually saw the first Kingsman is because of your review.
Well, we are pretty good.
And I can't say that I loved it as much as Bruce, but I don't think anyone loved it as much as Bruce did. But it was definitely at least coming close to Dick Grayson.
Okay. So we all enjoyed it, and but we were waiting for this sequel. And when the sequel was announced, honestly, I didn't think it was actually going to be directed by Matthew Vaughn, because Matthew Vaughn doesn't exactly do sequels. You know, he did.
He didn't do Kick-Ass 2, and it showed.
Didn't do Kick-Ass 2. Didn't do anything after X-Men First Class. So it was not really in his game to be doing an actual direct sequel. And the fact that both him and Jane Goldman are back for round 2 here, I think really shows.
I think it shows that this is the first thing he's directed that I think could become a legitimate long-living franchise. Like, this is the thing that's going to make him that, I don't know, Joel Silver kind of money.
But I think also,
does Joel Silver have a lot of money? I'm just guessing.
Yeah, Joel Silver's he's raking it in, not like he used to, but he's doing all right, you know. But this movie was not, as far as critically, as well received as many would have hoped it would be, because it's right at 50 right now on
And
Rotten
that's-
Tomatoes.
And that's just with the every critic.
Yeah, that's like 51% the last time I saw. The audience score is more like 75, 76, though.
And then if they go with the key reviewers, it goes down to 39.
So people were not really not super hype on this bad boy, which I'm really kind of scratching my head on, because I thoroughly enjoyed this thing.
How'd the first one do, man? Critic-wise,
I'm trying to look it up. The stupid thing does not want to. I guess if I'm not spelling Kingsman correctly or something, I don't know what's. It's giving me.
It's got 2 L's. There are 2 L's in Kingsman.
Oh, the 2. That's where I was. 74% Kingsman Secret Service. So.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
And look at this though. This is outside of, like, from a directing standpoint, man. I think this may be his first rotten film, because Layer Cake 80%, Stardust 70. Well, yeah, Stardust 76%, Kick-Ass 75, X-Men First Class 70 or 86. This is his first official stinker. Eddie the Eagle. Well, he's a producer on that one, but 50%, man. This is his first true stinker.
There's not a credible person on the face of the earth that can honestly say Stardust is better than Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
And we like Stardust, but it's not this movie.
Yeah, not even close.
All the reviews that I took a look at, they were all saying, yeah, it's just like the last one, and that's bad.
Well,
I do think that there's the loss of the knock your socks off value on that last one that took the whole James Bond genre, the whole idea of the James Bond series, and turned it up on its toe and did it in a more action-oriented way rather than trying to go all gold member, the Austin Powers direction with it. And then when you already know what they're going to do, I guess you don't have that same shock value, but I think this movie is a pretty darn good movie, man. I don't always get the critics. You know that. Most people don't always get what's going on there, especially when there's a huge disconnect with the audience score like that. But I don't know where it comes from.
Beats me. But let's see. So we kind of start off here, and Eggsy's more in the Colin Firth role from the first one for the most part, right?
A little bit. He doesn't really have a trainee, though, so it's kind of hard to say. But he is Galahad. He has taken on the moniker of Galahad and working with Merlin. And apparently they've rebuilt their ranks from how they were depleted at the end of Kingsman, the Secret Service. Somehow Dumbledore has taken over Alfred's role as the head of the Kingsmen.
And he looked into this mirror. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's another thing. Hold on.
But yeah, there wasn't really any explanation on how that restructuring went on, because I kind of think it would have been cool if Merlin had taken over the Michael Caine role instead of Dumbledore.
Was Michael Caine killed in that first flick?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was actually betraying the Kingsmen.
That's
Several
right,
of the
that's
agents were too. So a lot of people. The first one almost ended. My interpretation of it, when the first one ended, Harry, Merlin, Roxy, and Eggsy were like all that was left.
Yeah. So they've rebuilt big already. I mean, from kind of a slight, but
well, they still had the building, so that's 85% of your rebuilding. You got a nice big fancy estate like that. It's easy to get people to come work for you.
Have you paid for your headquarters? Okay, everything's going to be fine.
And the nice suits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the nice suits can't go out of style. But
it's one thing that this movie does well, and the comic books kind of do this too, both with the current Kingsman, the Red Diamond, I think is the name of the current one, and the Secret Service did too. But they start right off with an out of context action sequence that kind of builds into the story, because James Bond used to start off with those little pre-roll action sequences, but they totally had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Those in the business, those are called cold opens.
Well, the cold opens in Kingsman tie into the movie, unlike the cold opens in the James Bond movies. But we start right off with Charlie, a guy that I thought was dead. I guess we were supposed to think he was dead because they explain how he lived in this movie. But we see Charlie attacking Eggsy, outside of he's leaving, I guess, trying to go home, leaving some kind of meeting or something, getting into his little tiny English cab there, which, those things are cool. I want one of those. But we have this big fight with Charlie, and then the reveal is Charlie now has a robot arm. That gets revealed, and I'm starting to think maybe all of Charlie is a robot, and they kind of want us to think that because his voice has a little mechanical tinge to it, doesn't it?
He's got a little Stephen Hawking going on the thing.
Yeah, but
that's a great scene though, man.
Yeah, what'd you think of the whole fight scene, all the action going down there with Charlie and Eggsy in the car and busting out the window, and we get the gigantic leap over the cars there that they used in the trailer so much. What'd you think of that first fight scene?
Krista, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got kicked off and had to switch Wi-Fi. No, I thought it was an amazing scene. I busted out laughing when it was Prince on the radio, and I saw this movie not knowing that I would be stepping in here, so I actually did think, oh, Adam's going to use this as the opening.
Well, wouldn't you know?
I had my money running on the country version of Word Up.
That was painful, honestly.
Well,
I love
but
that.
I still sang along with it. But I
could picture a bunch of people in Tulsa doing a line dance to
well,
that.
I'm not going to lie to you. Do you know what I had already queued up? I mean, because we don't put the last song on live. We do that recorded. But you know what I already have pulled up?
Word Up country version?
I don't have the country version, but Word Up is going to be the end song of the program because I do love that song.
Version.
Oh, my goodness. I was hoping Elton John singing Country Road.
Oh, no, March Strong sang that one so perfectly.
Oh, it was, yeah. But at the beginning, talking about how that started when the him getting pulled through the back seat of the car from the boot was was the part that had me laughing the hardest, just because it was just like, wow, the car's giving birth to Eggsy. Look at that.
I like everything that Matthew Vaughn does here. I think especially with this opening scene is going, hey, did you like the kineticism and stuff that you saw in the church scene with the first movie? You are going to get that again across the board here. Because this thing is
something also, I'll say, and I hate to get too far ahead, but I admire that Matthew Vaughn didn't try to recreate or top the church scene. He just went with some of that style and peppered it throughout without trying to say, okay, this is our bigger, more jaw-dropping version of the church scene. It's going to get bigger every movie. You know, I'm glad he didn't go down that thing.
Now it's in a Costco.
I'll fight you for those free samples, Adam.
Everybody, just getting the little hot dog wieners just to the eyes or something like that. That's very Matthew Vaughn right there.
But did either of you think that Charlie maybe was just a robot top to bottom instead of just having a robot arm?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he had probably just a robot body in the regular head.
Yeah, well, especially. Go ahead.
I thought maybe he was like an LMD in this world.
Oh, nice. Yeah, when we first see his new voice box, I was just thinking, what is that? Is that a barcode or what's going on here? And then as soon as the shock didn't work, then I really did think that we were going to end up with like the Terminator version of him.
It's coming right for us.
And Adam, what is it called? Hitman? The Josh, was it Josh Brolin? Who was in like this movie Hitman or something where they had the barcode? They shaved their heads and put a barcode on the back of their neck.
No, that was
Left Behind.
No. Not was it Josh Duhamel? Was Josh Duhamel in that?
I thought it was Josh. Man, I'm way off on this. I thought it might have been Josh Brolin.
No, it's the jerk. Oh, he was in. Blast it! I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
Is it like Agent something or other?
No, the first one was called Hitman. The second one was called Agent 47, and that started a guy who we really don't know until like just kind of recently. Is it Ed Skrein? Is that what the guy's name is?
Oh, Ed Skrein. Yeah, the guy that backed out of the Hellboy reboot.
Yeah, I think he was Agent 47 if memory serves.
It's Timothy Oliphant.
I know. I kept thinking, I'm like,
guy that confuses Timothy Oliphant and Josh Brolin.
I'm like, he's got a stupid name, Timothy Olyphantastic. That's what Kevin Smith called him in the flick.
Well, anyway, the way that thing kind of looked like a barcode, and all of a sudden Charlie's head was shaved. I wondered if maybe there was some kind of like Hitman. I don't know what the procedure is in that movie because I haven't seen it, but I thought maybe it was something like that.
Here's a hint for you. Don't.
Now, was Ed Skrein also in like the reboot they did for the Jason Statham driving a car movie?
Yeah.
The Delivery Boy, or what's
yes,
that called?
Yes, it's called The Delivery Boy. He's a transporter, man.
The transporter. That's it. Delivery Boy transporter.
Delivery Boy transporter. The Bike Messenger. What was the name of that flick again?
I was just gonna let it go and see how many Bruce could come up with.
Well, at the end of this whole fight scene, when he goes underwater and makes it to wherever Merlin is, and in order to escape, he has to climb through the sewer. So he shows some dedication to really get home. But then we see that creepy robot arm acting of its own volition and hacking into the computer. And I know everything's going to go south. I don't know how it's going to go south, but I know this is what's going to lead to it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I did wonder what was going on with the robot arm, but I do have to ask, did anyone else hold their breath till he got into
honestly, it wasn't until he was like a little bit down there that I thought, oh, that'd be a good idea to do this to see if I could do it, but I forgot. I couldn't do it. Now, I do want to do this before I get an email to Agent 47. That guy's, he's got one of the worst names in Hollywood history, especially for a leading man, Rupert Friend. Hey, my name's Friend.
I love that name.
If you're an awesome like action star, hey everybody, my name's Friend. Hey, Friend. Hey,
you're starting with Rupert. You might as well end with Friend.
If you could you get no tougher than Rupert?
Oh man, yeah, Rupert Gint's another action star, isn't he?
Sure, but he got this. I do. Moving on.
No, he's Ron and Harry Potter.
You don't know.
Those are action movies.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff, actiony stuff happens in those flicks. You trying to tell me that Quidditch scene ain't action? That's action, son.
Yeah, it's just like that Delivery Boy with Jason Statham. It's very action oriented. But man, I got to tell you, I was pretty grossed out by the sewage, because I think London famously has like the fatbergs that live in their sewer system. So that's all I could think is he's going to swim through one of those fatbergs, and the way they had that nice little layer of brown floating on the top.
You're killing me, Bruce.
That was pretty grossed out when I saw him look in there and just jump on in, because you can't be in so big of a hurry to get somewhere that you are willing to show up covered with raw sewage. It just doesn't work.
That's how you show for your lady, man. Just be like, yeah, it means so much to me. I'm gonna Shawshank my way out of this place to get to you cover. But he had a good point. It's just like, look, I'm not doing this unless you give me a kiss. I can't tell you of any lady that I know that would have been like, all right, I'll pucker up for that one.
You're also not Eggsy, man.
Yeah, well, this much is true, but listen.
The sad thing is, back in my single days, I could climb through raw sewage and show up. Nobody'd even notice. They think it was just another day.
Oh, God.
What's it, a Thursday for you, Bruce? Hey, welcome to this party.
I was kind of surprised they brought Princess Tildy back. I don't know. Did they show her in the previews at all? Because I didn't know she was in this. So I was sort of surprised that whole rendezvous they had turned into a serious committed cohabitation situation.
Yeah, it shows when you go over the top from the get of go, that makes a relationship last.
Just like Speed told us.
Yeah. It was interesting, but at the same time here, I just kind of got to yell at Exy because, the Roxy chick who's over there. Now, granted, has she blown up by this point? I don't think so.
Not yet.
But she's way hotter.
Well, of course, man. Everybody wants him to be with Roxy. I think that Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldman know everybody wants him to be with Roxy. I think they were setting it up with her being like the best friend who's actually helping him out on his date with her parents. They're going with some serious 80s rom-com tropes here where we think, of course, Eggsy's going to end up with Roxy by the end of the movie. And then they blow her up with the missile just to prove us wrong. I thought that was a pretty good way to subvert a trope.
Yeah.
I was actually happy that I didn't want that to happen because I actually enjoyed the fact that she was on her own and had her own thing going. And yeah, she's going to help him out, but them being friends and actually seeing a platonic relationship between two people of the same age who happen to be different genders was nice.
Well, I'm just sad that we're, and of course anything's possible, man. They brought back Harry. They could bring back Roxy. But I was just sad that she wasn't going to have a bigger role in the movie. I was also sad Channing Tatum didn't have a bigger role in the movie. I think that might have been cool too.
That surprised me.
Because the way that it's kind of advertised here, at least here in the U.S., is that he's a big part of it, and he's not that big of a part, to be honest. Which I'm disappointed as well.
I almost feel like maybe he filmed for a week. And then he went off to work on Logan Lucky or something else. Like, this really feels like it was something that was worked around his schedule.
Yeah. With this, I'd probably say, week, 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah. But I really expected him to have a much bigger part, and he didn't.
They literally put him on ice.
They fridged him.
Oh man, yeah, they had him show up long enough to make a silicone mold and threw it into the ice. And then after filming was over, everybody was arguing over who got to take the silicone mold of Channing Tatum home.
I get the Tatum ice.
Oh god!
I've got a Magic Mike party coming up. I gotta have it.
They prop him up in the corner of the room and just play the Magic Mike stuff. Oh my god!
Okay, guys, we're gonna. It's April Fool's. My best friend loves Channing Tatum. I'm going to convince him that he's dead, and I have his corpse. Ready? Go.
It's weekend at Channing's. Yes.
Yeah, I was shocked by that, man. I also thought it would have been cool, like for just a little bit, to have seen Jeff Bridges get out into the field and do some crazy, goofy action stuff that totally he wouldn't have been doing. You know what I mean? Kind of Elton John style.
Yeah, I won't say missed opportunity, but again, I think you're right. It probably just came down to like how much time do we have him?
Yeah, getting to that, I actually was surprised that Pedro Pascal's stunts weren't quite to the Game of Thrones level. If I know that Adam hasn't seen it, but I think Bruce, you've watched it.
Oh yeah, Oberon, Prince Oberon of Dorne, Oberon Martell. I'll be calling him Oberon because I can't remember his name and I can't remember whiskey, so I'll call him Oberon quite a bit as we're talking about
Ricky. It's his real name.
But when Eggsy's at dinner with the princess, and he's got that whole glasses link going with his friend back in the apartment. He's also got the glasses link going with Roxy, and he gets to see everybody die while he's trying to impress Tildy's parents. I thought that was a pretty cool scene there. And it also kind of shocked me a little bit. I mean, they showed the Kingsman headquarters blowing up, but I thought they were just going to kill Dumbledore. I did not expect them to kill Roxy.
Yeah, it was like, oh, shoot, she's there too?
and I was... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, had he not gone to dinner with Roxy... I'm not Roxy. Had he not gone to dinner with Tildy and her parents with this very uncomfortable dinner, which I noticed had no Swedish chef present, so I was very disappointed there. He and Tildy would have died too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that you actually liked that scene, Bruce, because a dog died.
Oh yeah, JB. I forgot about that. Named after Jack Bauer.
Yes. If you don't listen to Preacher Podcast, well, then you don't know how many times Bruce was calling a dog to pass away.
He wants the death of dogs. Don't let that drop you off from supporting us at patreon.com/HMP.
And as far as supervillain layers go, or megalomaniacal villain layers go, what do you think of Poppy's kitschy getaway in the jungle?
It was bizarre and fun. It had a ton of puns in it, which I adored.
What'd you think about it, Adam? Because I think I would love to have like a totally 1950s diner recreation of a 1950s community in the middle of the jungle where nobody could go but me.
To me, I thought it was great. I first of all, I love the design of it. I love that somebody just goes, hey, I have an aesthetic. Here's what I'm going to do. Instead of having the same old, just frankly boring, layer to where they can go. They really art directed this thing, man. And made it like a comic book, because that's what some sort of crazy comic book hero or supervillain would actually have. Would be like, I want it to be all 50s diners and movie theaters and all this other kind of cool stuff. And I like that. And it felt like it fit the character.
I thought it worked great, man. The aesthetics were fun. It definitely fit this weird character. Her name, Poppy, not the most creative name for her since she deals in drugs, but I thought it was fun. I also, the jungle. It's not till the end of the movie we find out actually which jungle she's in, because I just kind of assumed South America when Hell shows up that they're somewhere in South America, but it turns out they're really in Asia. I also, I've been to a lot of diners. I've been to a lot of like kitschy diners that are made to look just like they're from the 50s. I've never been to one that has like a super shiny chromium meat grinder right there at the counter.
Not of that size, for sure.
Yes.
Imagine at breakfast when you literally have to watch how the sausage is made.
Oh, no.
I say yes to this because, the more the fact that you can know where it comes from, all the better. It means it's fresh.
No.
It means it's fresh. Unless you have a cured sausage, then that's a whole nother ordeal. You don't want to see that, because then you're getting crummy product.
And I like it because the first time we see Eggsy's hidden office, when his friend kind of wanders in there by mistake, we see that he's got the tabloid front pages up. He's only got 3 of them because he's not been at it as long as Harry, but he's keeping up Harry's tradition. And the one in the middle says Elton John missing. And then when we first visit Poppy, we find out that the reason Elton John is missing is because Poppy has him, and she kind of blamed it on Valentine. She took advantage of the celebrity abductions that Valentine was doing.
I liked it. I mean, having Elton John show up, and I also love dressing Elton John up in his old attire and him just looking incredibly miffed.
And I get the idea. Elton's been in the States too long, man. He's almost completely lost his original accent.
It's not as Britishy as you would hope.
Yeah, because doesn't he pretty much spend most of his time in Atlanta, I've heard?
Atlanta? That I don't know.
Yeah, I think he lives in a trailer across the street from Matt, but I'm not sure.
That makes sense. I've been there. I've been to that neighborhood.
But
it was the fancy house.
Merlin, I guess Merlin tells Eggsy about this doomsday protocol. If everybody's gone, here's what our protocol is. We go to this hat store. No, it's a wine store. You go to the wine store. You try to taste some wine in a specific room. You stick the old Kingsman nautical-looking lapel pin or whatever that thing is into the slot, and it opens up. And their doomsday protocol is some Kentucky bourbon, which Merlin gets very drunk on.
Man, you drink that much, you're going to have some problems, boy.
Unless you are from a place where people drink quite a bit more than the
Well,
average person.
you
in the
heard it
United
here.
States.
You heard it here, listeners from England, of which I know we have plenty. Krista thinks you're all drunks. There you go.
I just from experience talking to a lot of grad students and having them get sick in my car.
Yeah, Merlin got drunk. Eggsy seemed to handle it a little bit better, but they were drinking to everybody, man.
I did like that. I did like that they held with the whole you're not allowed to cry until you're falling down drunk, because my Irish side of the family holds to that tradition too.
Well, in my family, we're allowed to cry anytime we stump our little toe, so that's kind of our rule.
Oh.
So if something happens and you feel moved to tears, you quickly stump your toe.
Boom. Oh no.
But they noticed the Kingsmen logo worked into the K in Kentucky, in the Kentucky straight bourbon on the inner side of the label. So I'm getting pretty excited here because I see that Kentucky, came into play in the first movie. And I say, okay, they're going back to Kentucky. And I also see, oh, yeah, Matthew Vaughn thinks Kentucky is Texas. And then
true.
Merlin goes, you know where we're going? And he proceeds to sing the state song of West Virginia when they're going to Kentucky. So I'm just having a good time here. As a person, I grew up in Kentucky, currently live in West Virginia, live right on the border here. So everybody's enjoying this part of the movie in the theater I'm at.
Again, watching it, I thought of you, Bruce.
Yeah, Country Roads comes into play, and I've probably heard no less than 200 people sing Country Roads in my life, and nobody's ever done it the justice that Mark Strong does.
Oh, it's a great song, man. I'm a big closeted John Denver fan. I really like John Denver. It's so stupid, but I do.
I do too, man. I like the Thank God I'm a Country Boy is one of my favorites too.
Oh yeah.
And he backed up Ozzy Osbourne in front of Congress.
And then proceeded to bite the head off of a vegan bat.
Evil lost vegan.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to I don't know. They go to Kentucky, man, and what do you think about this bourbon distillery? Because my mom used to live, honestly, like my mother before she passed away lived in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. The house she was in was like equidistant between Wild Turkey and Jim Beam, so I'm real familiar with the Bourbon Trail. And they really, really, really make it clear that no one involved in the making of this movie has ever been to Kentucky.
I've only been in small parts of Kentucky. Actually, when we were driving through to go to Indianapolis, I was just like, the one thing that I had to do was that, like, this shows you how much of a non-drinker I am. Like, I'll drink, but not to that much. I don't go, ooh, we got to stop off at a bourbon place. I go, we have to stop at a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky.
They even do that in the movie. He says, we're going to Kentucky, Eggsy. We're going to Kentucky, Eggsy. He goes, oh, fried chicken.
That's the one thing that I did. I was just like, look, man, I mean, like, and it wasn't, and I'll be honest with you, kids, it wasn't anything special. It's just like any other. They're all the same. They're all the same thing.
Look at my surprised face.
And when they do people in Kentucky definitely have a recognizable accent, somewhat of a Southern accent. It's pretty close to what you're going to run into in Nashville. It's a little more the Tennessee style, but boy, they're leaning into Texas in this. It's like, I don't know why he didn't just have the statesman be in Texas. Of course, we find out it kind of makes the first movie situation with Harry work out a little better that they're in Kentucky. But nobody says that Harry had to be in Kentucky in the first movie. They just kind of threw a dart at a map or something.
I guess Texas doesn't have the booze reputation.
They could have been a hot sauce company. I don't know. Texas Pete Hot Sauce is the front for the statesman.
Well, I'd also say that none of the accents necessarily are from the original state for the folks that are there, because, you look at Merlin, he doesn't have a London accent by any means.
Yeah, but I'm talking about even the people giving the tour when they're taking the tour of the distillery, the lady working in the saloon, the guy that tries to start a fight in the saloon. Not to mention the term saloon, you don't run across that a whole lot in Kentucky. That's more like a Texas, Oklahoma thing again. Cowboy thing.
All I know is Oklahoma has a nice airport. That's all I know.
But I do like how they had the big I don't know if it was supposed to be some kind of big storage facility or what, but it's actually shaped like a bottle, like a booze bottle. Yeah. And also, one of the distilleries is making a Statesman bourbon to kind of tie into the movie I read.
Oh, and it's expensive. It's like, I think you're looking at it. It was, from memory, at least like $175 a bottle.
What?
Yeah.
And what do you? What'd you guys?
I'm looking this up.
What'd you guys think of the code names? They had whiskey and tequila. Also, wouldn't have hurt to meet more than two statesmen. You know what I mean? But we meet whiskey, we meet tequila, and we get to meet ginger ale. What'd you think of those code names, Adam?
Ginger ale's a little of an odd one, but the rest are fine. I like the whiskey, and the ginger makes sense. Tequila, obviously, but
because I thought, well, why not just go all in? If we're in Kentucky, we're doing bourbon, and you could probably get paid for some product placement. But there's Agent Jim Beam, there's Agent Elijah Craig, there's Agent Wild Turkey. He's the wild guy, man. You don't want to mess with Agent Wild Turkey. You got Maker's Mark, who's like the Q of the whole thing that makes all their gadgets. You could really run with the bourbon theme.
Matthew Vaughn, call us up, man. HeroMoviePodcast@gmail.com. Bruce can help you write this third movie.
Oh, man. Third movie is going to be all about Regis Philbin.
Regis Philbin, and we're going to get you other people that have proper whiskey names.
And we're all laughing, but I did get a chance to read a little bit of Bruce's next book, and it is I was laughing LOL, but for real, loudly at Dragon Con. So you guys push for him to keep buying his books, because he's a pretty good writer.
Just Friday, Adam. Here's a line I wrote on Friday.
Okay.
He delivered a superpowered kick to the rat's animatronic crotch. So that's something people have to look forward to.
That's what we do around here, people.
But Harry, man, when Harry shows up, this is one they seriously spoiled in the trailers. You know?
Yeah.
But at the same time,
that would have been cool to have found out in the theater.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's all right. I don't know that it takes away so much from it, but I think Matthew Vaughn has said that he wishes they wouldn't have done that, but it wasn't up to him as far as the editing of trailers and things goes. He didn't get a chance for that.
Joe Traylor gets to make all those decisions.
Hey, I'm Joey Traylor, and I put in what I wants to put in. Shut up.
It's $60, Adam, not $100.
Then you weren't looking at the collector's edition that comes with the big stuff.
It's all about the size. If you get one that's 3 times the size, it'll be $160.
Yeah, look, I mean,
I'll put the 3-gallon jug of Statesman bourbon, please.
Yeah,
for here to go. For here, please.
You say that, but man, Florida
stumping my toe later.
Florida's got drive-through liquor stores, so
Oh man, when I was growing up, Kentucky had drive-through liquor stores.
I'll just take a fifth and we'll just get on out of here, okay, pal?
But I also like it that Agent Tequila, who they play him as maybe not the cleverest guy. He definitely uses a lot of curse words and sounds very. I don't know, very heavily affected talk, as if he's maybe not from an urban area. But I like it when he says, "Are you all here for the lepidopterist?" Like, I do like the idea that this guy knows what a lepidopterist is.
All right, Bruce, we're all stupid. Lay it on us.
Oh, it's a butterfly studier.
Oh, that's right. I'm so dumb. I'm just like, even my brain just goes, "Oh, that's just a thing."
And it's so funny, too, that even when Harry kind of snaps out of his amnesia, he still occasionally hallucinates that butterflies are flying around. I thought that was just a hilarious touch.
But that's like a thing, though, man. People are that happens to people.
See, I'd like to get a jacket with maybe a hidden inner compartment that could hold butterflies, and while I'm having a casual conversation, just release them and act like I don't notice anything. I want the other person to think they're having those butterfly hallucinations.
I'm more of the glitter. Just a big giant pocket full of glitter, and you just right in their face.
If I could get 3 little yellow canaries to perfectly fly in a circle around my head to let people know when I bump my head, I would love that.
Yeah, I've had birdseed down my dress at a wedding, so no.
That's why you got to go to the bubbles, man.
Yeah.
Or nothing. Nothing is fine, too. I actually really like that the names were switched for Pedro Pascal and for Channing Tatum. I almost lost my female card by not remembering his name. that they had whiskey and tequila not fit their ethnicities.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that makes sense.
Man, I used to think Channing Tatum was the son of what's that Tatum O'Neal and that Channing lady from Grease.
Yep.
Carol Channing.
Yeah, that's it.
Carol Channing and Tatum O'Neal are the parents of Channing Tatum. See, you got me doing it too, you jerk.
Oh, man. And then, of course, Champagne, but everybody that knows what's good for him calls him Champ. We get the dude. We get the Big Lebowski, one of Adam's all-time favorite movies, the Big Lebowski. We get the dude here.
Listen, I'll say this. I just thank heavens at this point it's not yet another movie that we can tick on him doing yet another version of the Rooster Cogburn. At least this one wasn't as gravelly and get on down
I think it was close enough to count as typecasting for the guy.
It's close, but it's not near as much as some of the other ones, man. He's done about 4 or 5 movies now with like R.I.P.D. and a whole bunch of other ones where it's just like, dude, stop doing the same voice, bro.
He was able to back it up to that movie where he was a country singer that got like some Oscar buzz. What was the name of that one? Like Country Heart or something like that?
Yeah, Heart's in the name of it.
Colin Farrell in it.
I know Redbone did the music for it. Does that help?
Yeah, so I felt like he backed it up a little bit pre-Rooster Cogburn. He's back in that country singer kind of right in that zone while he's playing this character of Champagne.
Yeah, he's another one that I guarantee, was there for like less than a week.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, I actually did have a question for you since you had done the research and everything. What was the meaning? And I might have just missed this in the movie, but why did they call it the Golden Circle other than her branding them with gold in a circle?
There was no other meaning to that I could pick up on. In fact, I feel like it's the sort of thing where the script was written, the movie was written, and they needed something that sounded catchy for marketing, and somebody said, ooh, how about the Golden Circle? Well, we got to make that fit in there. It really felt shoehorned into me. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's really got no other flavor for it other than that. But I do like how, look, it's in you. It's a brand. It's not something that you're going to get rid of. The fact that it's 24 karat gold is also something that, it means that it's not going away. And it leaves us, a weapon for later on.
I think they should have just called it Kingsman 2, Poppy's Revenge or something like that.
Poppy's Revenge.
The blue rash that isn't a rash.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, all right, so let's get to what kind of Poppy's big plan is. So her plan is like she's like the biggest drug distributor in the entire would you say world?
Oh yeah. She said a $250 billion profit last year. That's got to be like all the drugs.
So that's that's all the drugs, man. So she's exporting, she's doing all this stuff, and has then laced all of her drugs with a special little thing. She's done. It's like instead of water, it's been done with drugs now, and apparently, everyone on Earth is on drugs.
Except for the president.
Which, but to me, it was an interesting idea. I like this, and to me, I also like the idea of, yes, what they're doing is bad, but also at the same time, not the worst of supervillains. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what she really wants to do is just get drugs legalized so she can start making some bread.
Yeah, she just wants respect for how good she is as a businesswoman.
Yeah, she's actually doing quite well, and when you look at like those record amounts of profits, you can't deny her that. But at the same time, too,
to be honest, though, if she just created a shell corporation to claim they had discovered the vaccine to this horrible virus going around, she probably could have made just as much money.
Oh, gosh,
I don't think she had to play it the way she did, holding everybody ransom. She just wanted to flout what she had done.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong there. That's probably the best choice. I didn't think of that, but apparently neither did she.
Now, you want to talk about now they had the President of the United States show up in Kingsman, the Secret Service, and they had the President of the United States get his head blown off in Kingsman, the Secret Service. And in the first movie, they had the likeness bore a strong resemblance to Barack Obama, who was the president of the U.S. at the time. And the voice even kind of, you could tell they wanted it to sound like the current president at the time. But boy, they strayed completely away from the current president on this movie. What do you think about that?
Look, anytime Bruce Greenwood could be in anything, I'm all on board. Like that guy.
But imagine Alec Baldwin could have used the work.
Listen, I'm sorry. Guess what, people? I'm not a Trump fan. That's a crappy Trump impression. It's horrible.
I was just thinking that there's no way you could have the current president and not have a potential that he might get a blue rash.
But, here's the thing, though, also, I thought. You could just have Alec Baldwin doing, what's his character's name from 30 Rock, Adam? Jack
Donaghy.
Donaghy. Yeah, just have him do that character, but just because it's Alec Baldwin, we all kind of know you want us to think that he does the thing for the thing. You know what I mean? I felt like they really strayed so far away from it when it caught a lot of people's attention at how bold it was to depict a sitting U.S. president getting essentially assassinated in a movie on the first one. Maybe that was a little too much heat for Matthew Vaughn. Maybe he backed off, or maybe it's because it's a Fox production. I don't know.
Nah, they probably got too much heat on it, let's be honest, the Trump thing is low hanging fruit and would just distract from the thing. But I do like the idea of the president being like, look, I don't do none of these drugs, and we'll just pretend that we're going to sign this thing that will allow them to bring the anecdote over, but we're not really going to do that. These people can all die. I don't care.
Well,
and my wife argued that Emily Watson's character, who's named Fox in the movie. Maybe that's like an X-Files thing. I don't know. But my wife kind of said that she felt like there was a little bit of a certain politician vibe to that character.
Yeah, because I actually was wondering when they filmed it, would they have known the outcome?
I don't know, man. I don't know when was principal photography on this.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Or maybe they just played it safe at that point?
Yeah, I think they just we'll just get a generic-o president.
They should have just got Billy Bob Thornton. He did a good president in Love Actually.
Oh, that was terrible. And I like that you pointed out Emily Watson, because I loved her in Red Dragon.
I thought she was Hermione Granger, but I was proven wrong on that one.
She actually has in her bio on Wikipedia, not Emma Watson.
Wow. That's ridiculous. Wow, because they're so close together. They're basically the same thing. Come on, people.
So what'd you think of the big it's kind of the halftime show, the movie right at the halfway point. They got to have something big, especially a movie like this, an action movie. They have to have this big halftime show right at the halfway point. And we go to Italy for that. And we have all this stuff going on the ski resort. We have, first off, I love Oberon Martell's choice of ski bib that looks kind of like a country western cowboy rodeo outfit, but it's a ski bib.
Are we skipping Coachella in England entirely?
Oh, Glastonbury. I was going to skip that because I don't know about you guys. Have either of you ever been to Glastonbury?
No.
To the music festival? Because you're not supposed to talk about it once you go there.
Oh, fair enough. That's true.
Stays there.
What happens at Glasgow stays in Glasgow. At least that's what the guy in the hat told me.
I do like how how he does come up, try to play his game and everything, and it's nope, sorry, old man.
Which was painful because he's our age.
What did you think of the tent, man? That not quite Paris Hilton had, the Delavine lady. What did you think about that tent? Because that is a pretty fancy darn tent.
What is the cost of this thing?
Is that what people really do at Glastonbury Music Festival? Like, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure at Coachella they don't have tents like that. She had indoor plumbing in her tent.
It was nicer than my apartment and bigger.
They've got tents and stuff, and some of them are elaborate, but I don't think there's ever been one that's been quite as elaborate.
Like, that seems like the sort of tent that you'd see in a movie like Lawrence of Arabia that the local sheik lives in or something,
I don't think Lawrence of Arabia was that high scale. At least even then they were just pooping out there in the desert.
But that was a heck of a tent, man. So I've just decided, no matter how out of place I might be, I want to go to Glastonbury Music Festival and use indoor toilets in a tent sometime.
Even if
That's
they're
on my
not.
bucket list now. It'll be like a two-man game. You'll have to distract the tent's owner while I run in and do an upper decker and run out.
Maybe you need Sean for that.
But yeah, I was impressed with the quality of the tents there. I guess this show's a big deal, this Glastonbury Music Festival.
Who knew?
I always thought it was the Isle of Wight that everybody went to.
I don't know. Listen, those people over there, they got all kinds of weird stuff. What do you want from them?
I'm not the high roller you are, Bruce.
All right. So now, any more to say about Glastonbury, guys? Because in particular, the way the whole seduction scene goes down, I thought it was kind of funny. You know, I had a little chuckle when Eggsy runs into the bathroom. How I know that she has indoor plumbing. Eggsy runs into the bathroom to call Princess Tildy, and that conversation goes pretty much how I thought it would go.
Here's the thing. Now, okay, so we got a lady on the program now, so we can ask this question. Krista, if this situation comes up, you know your fiance is is kind of a spy, if you will. You understand what his job entails. Does this excuse fly? Is there any reason why this happens, or is it just straight no?
Now, first off, Adam, it's not fair to pin this on Krista. Number two, I'm real curious to hear what she has to say. Go ahead.
Well, first off, they're not engaged, and that was her problem at the time.
I thought they were.
No, not engaged.
Oh,
yet,
that's right.
Said,
Well, he had the
he
opportunity
can't be a
to
prince
say.
and be a secret agent.
Right. He had the opportunity to say something there. Like at the end, she just goes, if you say that. Now, if he would have said that, he could have got himself out of some trouble. And then you can always renege on that stuff later. But.
And second, I'm pretty sure there are mucous membranes in your mouth.
Well, how are you going to get that little kind of, baby prophylactic into the mouth?
Hey, it's a finger cot. It's called a finger cot. And she offered to let him, urinate on her. So I think she probably would have let him put the weird finger thing in her mouth if he told her that was his kink.
You're probably not wrong. But
also on the phone call,
to his credit,
Do you just want me to actually answer the question?
Oh, yeah. Answer the question.
Yeah.
Well, I think that in the interest of national security, I might give it a pass, but I need to have a coworker verify it.
Pardon me. I need this cowboy to witness what we're doing here, lady.
No. I mean, like after the fact. I would give the benefit of the doubt for after the fact. If Roxy were alive, I would insist she be the person who swear to it.
But now, in Exy's defense, though, once he gets the mission done, he goes no further. He does not James Bond the situation and just go, well, when in Rome, and does what he's got to do. He steps out. So you have to give him credit as far as that goes.
Or he could have put on a white coat and claimed to be a Glastonbury gynecologist who's given free examinations, and it could have been much more clinical.
Well, when in Glastonbury...
Yeah, you have something in your teeth. Let me get that out for you. Whatever needs to happen.
Oh, yeah, Glastonbury Dentist. I smell a sequel, a spinoff, The Glastonbury Dentist. I like that.
Or an ENT, so he's got to check her nose.
Just shoving transponders down people's throats.
He also could have explained that it was just like third base stuff. Like he made it sound like he had to go all the way when that's not what he had to do. So I think he might have gotten off a little easier on the phone call if he had thought a little bit and said, well, and explained maybe with a little bit of anatomical detail what parts were involved. Because what he did, I think, wouldn't have made her as mad as what he presented to her.
No.
That's true.
That's the same.
Okay.
Because that's my personal opinion. The other ladies who listen to the show, of which we know there are at least two, feel free to say I'm wrong. But yeah, that's the same.
Okay. I was just thinking maybe it would make it easier. Maybe it wouldn't. Here's what will give you perspective, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
What if we found out that Sean has been absent because he's actually a secret agent? And then he says, now don't get mad at me because I know I haven't been on the show for a while, but for national security, I have to do somebody else's podcast. And there he was, him and Maria Menounos.
Son of a...
It would be over, wouldn't it? That would be the end. There's no coming back from that betrayal.
Yeah, we're hanging up on that FaceTime, boy. Hanging up.
Now, I've got good friends, and this is another question, Krista. I've got good friends who are gynecologists. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, that's honestly their trade. That's what they do.
I do as well, so let's listen.
So, I mean, when it's in a professional capacity, it's not the same thing. Because when they're doing an exam like that, that's not the same as if, they did more.
Yes.
And for him, I'm looking at it's a professional capacity. He has a layer of latex between himself and the other person. At least he's using some, universal precautions. I look at the win-win on the finger cot.
I have never been to the doctors and have them make out with me at the same time.
I got to recommend some folks to you. Now, they're expensive. They are expensive.
This doctor charges by the hour.
Well, there are some ladies who do happen to have a good time no matter what, and that is very awkward for the new doctors, so I hear.
Yeah, if only Eggsy could have come up with a better ruse. I think a more clever ruse, like
pretty much anything.
Just have your game plan in order.
Yeah, it was a pretty ludicrous scenario that's just made up for the movie. Because if somebody was really concerned about it, they could just use like the old James Bond dart gun to put it on her.
Yeah, because it just goes into your neck or whatever. Yeah.
Or, maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but she looks like the kind of person who might not refuse some free cocaine.
Ooh.
Although, wouldn't
just
you
put that
notice
little...
you're looking at it?
So maybe they put that tiny little...
tab.
Yeah, put that little tracker in the cocaine. But anyway, I guess we just all have to agree there were probably better ways to have gotten this tracker there.
Fair enough.
But for the sake of the movie, they had to make the conflict work the way it did. That's how it went down.
Yeah, this is why you're not supposed to have a loved one, according to Harry.
So, Italy, guys.
Sorry. Yeah, Italy.
So, I'm going to give you one free guess, Adam. What was my favorite part of the whole Italy sequence?
Oh, let's see. There were no Corys in it. So that can't be it. No miniature donkeys, as is my recollection.
Stan Lee, of course, isn't in this. It's not a Marvel property, but there would have been the perfect Stan Lee cameo at the end of the Italy sequence, Adam. That was my favorite part.
That was my guess.
I'm trying to... Now my brain's kind of taking a dump here.
I'm going to paraphrase,
That's
but the
exactly
old guy says...
it.
the old guy says, this is the first good number 2 I've had in years.
Oh, yes, that would have been perfect. Okay, at Ski Lodge, basically.
Yeah, imagine Stan Lee delivering that line.
Yes, that would have been perfect. Oh, I tell you, true believers, that's the first time in 2 years.
That's actually who I decided it was in my little brain.
That would have been amazing. Him and Morgan Freeman sitting at the bottom of the... That would have been the best.
Man. Perfect.
I vote James Earl Jones, but that's just me.
Yeah, but Morgan Freeman's going to be more dirty about it.
I don't know. I'm voting Emmanuel Lewis.
Anything to get that little fella back on some screen time.
I want to make him an action star. I'm working on that.
We're working.
I'm writing a role that only he could play if they ever make a movie out of it. But this is where Harry figures out, it looks like it's an accident when Whiskey, Oberon Martell, knocks the antidote out of Eggsy's hand and it breaks. And then Harry pretty much turns around and shoots Whiskey in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And, Harry's been seeing butterflies. Harry's been a little unstable. So Eggsy thinks he's gone nuts and puts the alpha gel over Whiskey. But in the end, Harry's proven right.
I like the alpha gel type stuff. I don't know if it is or not, but it feels like very much a Mark Miller type creation. That just,
yeah, it does.
That just has some bogus, mumbo jumbo stuff in there.
Yeah, I don't think that is a Mark Miller creation, but it's definitely would have fit in very well in his world.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, well, we just put this thing on you, smack some stuff into your face, and guess what? All's good. It just gives you a little bit of amnesia, that's all.
I'm so glad they didn't share that with everyone ever.
Now, let's go ahead and get into the big finale here. When they figure out that she's in Cambodia, is that where they decide she's at?
Yep.
And, the statesmen give Eggsy and Merlin and Harry all, access to their resources. And I love it because they have a case that has 2 hand grenades and 2 baseballs. And Eggsy or somebody picks up the baseball and says, "What's this?" And he says, "It's a hand grenade." And I'm dying for him to pick up the hand grenade and say, "What's this?" And he goes, "Oh, that's just for decoration." Or, I want him to pick up a hand grenade. "What's this?" "Oh, that's an ink pen." You can't give me the setup for a perfect airplane level joke and not follow through with it.
Hacky sack.
I was thinking paperweight.
Yeah.
Something.
But it's a great, I love this kind of planning on storming the storming the area here and all that kind of good stuff. And it leads to, well, first of all, we do get Mark Strong actually then replacing Eggsy's foot, which had stepped on a landmine, which thankfully they did kind of give us a little bit of that earlier, so it wasn't like, oh, guess what? Landmines came out of nowhere.
And they were leaning into Louisville, because the bourbon headquarters of the Statesman, you could see the skyline of Louisville in the background, and they had the Louisville Slugger baseball bat that turned into a minesweeper.
Mm-hmm.
The baseball hand grenade was a Louisville Slugger baseball or something, I'm sure. They had the Bowie knife kind of leaning in. Those were pretty darn popular when I was growing up in Kentucky for some strange reason, because I think Jim Bowie was from Tennessee, but they were kind of leaning into some Kentucky stuff on that too. But yeah, we get Merlin making that sacrifice so that Eggsy and Harry can go on and use all their gadgets and fight against Poppy's minions. And with his last stand, he goes out with a bang, quite literally, but also he takes that big Bowie knife and starts chopping down leaves and attracting as many guards as he can by singing, a version so beautiful it could have come from the lips of God himself of Country Roads.
It's good stuff, man. I mean, look, Mark Strong is great in everything he's in. He was the best part of the Green Lantern movie, for heaven's sake. So that guy can do anything.
Yeah, he's really good, man.
My heart actually did break a little. I got a little tight feeling in my chest. No crying because I'm not drunk, but. And
it's somewhere in here where Elton John decides he's had enough of Poppy's crap too. And we get some action scenes from Elton John. I mean, first off, he shows up in the bowling alley to help Harry out because the dog won't attack Elton John. So he smiles for the dog, and Harry kind of swings around him with the bowling balls, hitting the robot dog. Meanwhile, we get the Armageddon upgrade that Charlie has. He's fighting against Eggsy, and Eggsy manages to hack into the arm. So he beats Charlie up with his own arm, which... How baller of a move is that?
Why are you hitting yourself?
Oh, I had uncles for that. As soon as I saw that, I was like, you know what, Rob?
It just reminds me of my mom. When I was a kid, my mom said if I ever hit her, she would rip my arm off and beat me over the head with it. And it's kind of a moment like that in the movie here.
Bruce, why are you crying? This reminds me of Mama.
Needless to say, I never, ever, ever even dreamed of hitting my mother.
Yeah, there you go.
Because she meant it.
They usually do.
Yeah. There will be blood all over these walls.
You're like,
and
oh yeah, really?
Will be mine.
You want to try
was
me?
the saying in my house. And that was just for yelling.
And then we get Elton John taking on some thugs on his own. Like when he's in the piano room. First off, he's playing Wednesday.
What? I thought it was Saturday. What day is it today? They just look at him like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Did you guys notice the name of the dogs?
Yes.
Yeah, there was one was Jet and the other one, I forget the other one.
Benny.
Benny?
It was Benny and the Jets.
All right, well, it should have been as obvious to me then, now shouldn't it?
Fired, and I don't even.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just finished watching a Lego Ninjago movie after that, so I had a little bit. There's a lot to that day.
But man, the most perfect moment in this movie might be when Elton John does that flying kick to the guy's head and they slow-mo it, and you get like the gleam in his eye because he's dressed like a Thanksgiving turkey but more colorful when this whole fight scene's going down.
Yeah.
I love the costume choice there.
Well, and it's one of his old ones, right? And then he mugs for the camera.
I mean, it's like they even did the CGI gleam off of his teeth when he smiled, I think.
Oh.
They're just like, we're gonna have yourself an awful good moment here, Mr. Elton John. We know you're elderly at this point. You couldn't do any of these things, but guess what? You were gonna fly through the air and kick a bad guy in the face.
Is it fair to say this is the best role of Elton John's life?
Yes.
In a movie.
It is fabulous.
I liked him more when he was deaf, dumb, and blind, but that's just me.
Okay.
Tommy, anyone? No? All right.
I thought that was The Who.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And you know who played, all right. Some people.
Who?
First base.
Quadrophenia?
Yeah. Keep going.
Well, anyway, they OD Poppy. They take out all the minions and a lot of good fighting. I mean, a lot of really good fighting. A whole lot of thanks that they owe to Elton John and his kung fu, or I don't know, whatever. What would you call an Elton John interpretation of kung fu?
Elton Fu.
Yeah, I like that, Elton Fu. But they shoot her up with a little bit of her own heroin. She reveals the passcode, then drops dead because she was OD'd and they didn't bring Narcan. And just when they're getting ready to type it into her retro laptop, in comes Whiskey, who flew his own fighter jet. I love that too. What was the name of it? There was a code name for the fighter jet.
It was the Silver Pony.
And just the look on his face, when they're filming, whatever was the green screen or however they filmed that and stuck him in there. Just the grin on his face, man. For just a moment, I thought, what's his name from Parks and Rec, Adam? Ron Swanson?
Yeah.
For a minute, I thought, boy, he would have been cool as a statesman.
Yes. You are not wrong. Nick Offerman as a statesman would have been amazing. I'm sorry. God bless to Mr. Bridges. Get out of there. Put Nick Offerman in that role. What is wrong with you, dude? That's perfect. Son, what are you doing? You're going after these men.
But man, now this is when they play, and this I think is the fight of the movie where I believe Vaughn put the most effort into it, tried to make it the most memorable. They match it up with that country music version of the Cameo song "Word Up," which works for the surrealism of everything. They're fighting in a 50s diner with an electrified lasso with Oberon Martell, but he has a Texas kind of accent, but he's from Kentucky. And they're going for broke here, and I loved it. I had a lot of fun. Now, they weren't trying to be the church fight scene, and it wasn't. That's still my favorite fight scene I think I've ever seen. It'll go down. It'll be tough for something to top that in my wheelhouse. But this was a lot of fun, man. I'm really enjoying the way that the choreography is working. I love the little jump where Exy kind of like jumps and holds his body stiff, and the lasso just completely goes around him.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole thing is cool. I mean, I love the needle drops throughout the entire movie. The soundtrack is awesome. So, and that lends to a lot of the fun that you have with this kind of stuff.
And then, of course, the good guys win, and Whiskey gets ground up. Ginger Ale gets to be the new Whiskey. I like that, man. That could be fun in a sequel.
Yes.
Hopefully, let's hopefully be fun, because sometimes I don't know. Halle Berry can be hit or miss sometimes, where it's just like, oh my God, she's great. What we should give that woman an Oscar. And other times it's like, what are you doing, honey? What is this?
Maybe
Well, fortunately, I highly doubt that Kingsman 3 will be centered around Ginger Ale's character. Like, you know what I mean? It will be a fun supporting character. I don't think she's going to replace Taron Egerton.
Hopefully not, because it's not her movie. She wouldn't have deserved it.
It's like that Smoking the Bandit 3 without Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. Now we're going to follow around, what's his face there?
Jerry Reed.
Jerry Reed. We're going to follow Jerry Reed around here. Like, oh, no, thank you.
Well, it did seem like they were leaving it open for Channing Tatum to take the Eggsy role, though.
They definitely made it seem like he's going to be part of the Kingsmen almost, because they showed him, at the end we hear that Champ says they've opened up a distillery in Scotland. They're going to help rebuild the Kingsmen, and they're sending Tequila over there to get a little finishing school, I guess is what you would call it. And we see him dressed. Who is he dressed like with that bowler hat? I kind of think he almost looked like Odd Job.
Little Odd Job, little bit of Avengers going on there.
Yeah, what's the guy, Mr. Steed? What's the name of the guy in the Avengers?
Oh, I forget. I
think it might be Mr. Steed and Emma Pill. Am I right, or am I close?
I think so. We'll say yes.
But he's got the cowboy boots on. He's still got the cowboy boots, even though he's walking real stiff in the fine spoke suit there that they got for him.
Hey, once you get used to wearing heels, it actually hurts to wear flats.
Hey, I wore cowboy boots with the tuxedo the first time I met Chuck Yeager, Adam.
That sounds about right. Yeah, Steed, you're right.
And I was sporting the mullet back then.
My hand is on my heart.
And Eggsy marries Tildy. He's decided to go through with it, man. He's going to be a Swedish prince, and a secret agent.
Herpnish. That's my Swedish. Look, it's a fine ending. I mean, they're definitely going to be doing a 3 from what little interviews and stuff I've kind of seen. A third one is all but, go at this point.
And it made $40 million, $39 million. It did a little bit better for the opening weekend than the first one did. I can remember when $40 million was a lot for an R-rated movie to make. But of course, 3 weeks ago we had It, which is now up to like 300 million.
Yeah, it opened with like 112 or something.
Yeah, and it's against a budget of 25.
Yeah.
I mean, this bumped it, and worldwide it made about 100 and the budget was 109, and this was about 102, I think, worldwide so far.
So yeah, they'll definitely make their money back on this one and stuff. So I would say a third one's fairly imminent. It may not be. It'll be about on the same level. I don't know if they'll get much of a bigger budget than this particular one.
Have you listened to what Matthew Vaughn has said about his thoughts on the third one?
I'm not really sure, but to me, I have heard somebody say that this was like his Empire.
Okay. I heard read a report that he really wants Dwayne Johnson for the villain in the third one.
Really?
On board.
And he also says he might test the waters for a Statesman franchise.
Well, you gotta be, don't listen, man. Sometimes you gotta just, doggy paddle before you can really swim.
Well, didn't the Broccolis do a Felix Leiter spinoff?
I think so. Yeah, it's just don't, man. Don't.
See, but I disagree with you, Adam, because I have ideas for there to be an expansion beyond the U.S. I mean, in Australia, you clearly should have the Dundee Men.
It's just
they're called the
plant.
didgeridoos.
I mean, Canada, clearly Icemen. Ireland, have to go with the theme.
The leprechauns, yeah.
I was going to say drunksmen, but, you follow your bliss.
Now, let me ask you this, because I did have to jet out of this thing and go to another screening real quick. Was there a post-credit scene in this?
Nope. The most interesting thing about the credits is they said a very dope thanks to Samuel Jackson.
Fair enough. So before we get to the final little couple things here, Krista, let me ask you: did you find, because a lot of the critics, a lot of the harsh critics who were contributing to this 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, said this film was like wildly sexist and stuff like that. Did you feel any of that with this?
Well, you had a nagging girlfriend and a cheating girlfriend and a dead girl and Halle Berry, and those were the only women besides the bad guy.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, but at the, but I mean, did it feel like it was like misogynistic in any way?
Not any more than a usual superhero movie. It
didn't feel like that was something
damning with faint praise, but like it's not anything I wasn't used to seeing after seeing. Go ahead.
One thing I would say is for a movie series, for a franchise that sets out to subvert the tropes introduced with James Bond, they don't do a good job of subverting the way they deal with women in the James Bond movies, which is historically awful.
I mean, Roxy had the potential, but they decided to fridge her.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, that's also, when it did happen, a lot more powerful that way, too. So...
I mean, but they could have gotten rid of Merlin and kept her. She was just a little smart. I mean, don't get me wrong, that entire performance was fantastic, and I loved him in it, and it was wonderful. But you can't tell me that Roxy couldn't have stepped into those shoes as well.
Perhaps not.
And
just the character, not necessarily the actress, because I haven't really seen her do much besides look really scared of heights.
Something else I'll say is the first movie, I really like Sofia Boutella's character. I like Sofia Boutella in general.
Mm-hmm.
Gazelle was really cool. Gazelle was a male character in the comics. They changed did a little gender swap, had it be Sofia Boutella in the movie, and it worked well. I thought she was a nice, strong. She was smarter than Valentine. She was stronger than Eggsy. She was a really strong, quality female villain. Poppy was a little bit of a step down in quality for the female villain, I thought, compared to Sofia Boutella.
I mean, I did like that she was about as comic book and crazy as you could get. she was fun, but like I said, the other women in it didn't really do much to impress me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get down to the rating here, we have to figure it all out, man. Anybody gonna leave?
How does it relate to Sylvester Stallone?
You know, I got two people on the other side of this here rope. Listen, everyone goes, "Oh, Adam's got the easiest job on this show." You'd be surprised. All right.
In my defense, I was trying to floss.
Good enough.
In my defense, you shouldn't be yelling at a guest.
You know how this works. All right. Thank you, Bruce. I have a prepared statement.
You don't say.
Just as soon as I think I'm out, they pull me back in. That's right, HMPers. It's up to me again to do the dig down deep and do the best Stallone connection that I can muster. Julianne Moore plays Poppy in Kingsman Golden Circle, a strong, beautiful, yet possibly unstable woman. Sounds a lot like a lot of Julianne Moore's roles. Julianne Moore comes to us from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, has been dropping roles on us since 1987. She's worked with so many great directors. Her first bit that hit big was The Hand That Rocks the Cradle with the late Curtis Hanson in 1992. I need to rewrite my stuff. She'd go to yet another small role in The Fugitive in 1993, which was so strong that Steven Spielberg didn't even have her audition for her role in 1997's The Lost World Jurassic Park. He just gave it to her. She also worked with Robert Altman in Short Cuts, the Coen Brothers in The Big Lebowski, Ridley Scott in Hannibal, Alfonso Cuarón in Children of Men, and one of my personal favorites, Boogie Nights with Paul Thomas Anderson, and many more. She's been nominated 115 times for awards and has won 111 of them. That is including 3 Golden Globes and an Oscar for her role in Still Alice. What's that tell you? That tells you the lady's got talent. But as many of her filmmaking adventures have been, as great as many of her filmmaking adventures have been, none could possibly rise to the heights that Julianne Moore rose to when, in 1995, she starred alongside the glory of Spain, Antonio Banderas, and the glory of Mother Earth herself, Sylvester Stallone, in a movie called Assassins. Stallone called Assassins the most pleasurable thing he'd done since Fist. That's a movie, you dirty-minded people. Come on. In Assassins, Julianne Moore played Elektra. No, not that one. This one was a surveillance expert and a computer genius who does something or other with the net. Look, it was the 90s. They didn't know what the internet really was. And she's stuck between 2 assassins out on a contract to kill her. She says her and Stallone really got along well on set, and he was very generous as well as funny. They'd often play little jokes on each other on set, and when I say little, I mean little. Like the old, "Hey, what's that on your shirt? Boop, got you on the nose." Seriously. Sly fell for that one every single time. That's a true story. And that is what kind of lovable goof makes us love the most magical man in Hollywood the most magical man Hollywood has ever pooped out of its system. So there you have it, HMPers. This week's Stallone connection. Now, Poppy and Merlin, gather yourself together and let's rate this bad boy so we can get back to what we do best: butterfly collecting.
Butterfly collecting. I always get the Boogie Nights guy confused with the Resident Evil guy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for both of them.
They're both Paul Anderson, so I never know which is which.
Yeah, it's just like you look at the trailer and just go, does this look like garbage? Probably just the regular Paul Anderson.
I think he's Paul W.T. Anderson, and the other one's Paul T. Anderson.
It's bad. It's not a good scene. All right.
Even Wes Anderson's offended at that.
Even Wes Anderson's like, geez, dude, come on now. He's got a new little animated movie coming out. Looks fun. All right. Here on Hero Movie Podcast, we don't have any letters or any of that garbage. We have our own garbage called the Robin Rating System. If you'd like to check that out, go on down to Facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. And, give a little like to that page and look at the HMP Robin Rating System at the top there. We'll start with Bruce. Bruce, what was your rating for Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
I love this franchise. I want it to go on forever. What's Bond up to? 27, 28, something like that?
Not quite that high, but close.
I want this to go for like 12 movies, you know? I love this. I had a good time. It was a fun ride. I'm not a sophisticated film watcher, so I really, really enjoy the way that Matt Vaughn films his action scenes. I enjoy most of the humor. Sometimes it misses. I like the way that they've been cast so well, both the first one and the second one. Love what they did with Elton John. I want him to, I wish they'd had the cojones to let Mark Hamill be Mark Hamill in the first one instead of a university professor. But I'm going to give this a strong Tim Drake. And by the end of the year, don't be surprised if this gets consideration for my favorite of 2017 after I watch it 3 or 4 more times.
Very good. Krista, what do you got?
I really had a blast. Any movie that has a giant pair of scissors killing 2 bad guys right off the bat is A-okay in my book. I didn't, as you guys mentioned, I didn't really like the American names because it just seemed a little tired. We do have our own Americana lore, and ginger ale is a dumb name for somebody who's smart. But I agree. I wouldn't give it a high Tim Drake, but maybe a Tim Drake minus.
Okay, fair enough. Looks like Tim Drake's all around then. I really enjoyed it. Had a great fun time. Falls a little short of the original, but then again, you're right. It is part of the wow factor that you get the first time watching it. But this is no slouch, man. We have a lot of fun in it. It's enjoyable. It's what I expected out of the movie is what I got. And sometimes I don't ask for more,
Slow Gin Fizz. That would have been better than ginger ale. Slow Gin Fizz.
Slow Gin Fizz is my blues name. All right, so for those of you that do go down to patreon.com/HMP, you guys voted for the movie that we were going to watch next, and you have chosen for us Weird Science. That's right. That is an actual... I don't think someone doesn't like that.
I voted differently, guys.
That's fine.
I always vote for RDJ.
So we're going to be doing Weird Science, man, which actually is based upon a comic book. So how? Well, guess what? Tune in next week and find out, you big so-and-sos.
Guess what the name of the comic book was?
Captain America, the Winter Soldier?
Yes. It was Weird Science by Mark Miller.
There you go. All right. So in the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet, sir?
I'm really trying to get people to check out my latest audiobook, Dragon in Gallus. It's the Lump Adventures book 2, but it's a great place to jump in. Don't think you have to make it through Dragon in the Needles to enjoy Dragon in Gallus, but if you want to get both, that's fine too. Available on Audible, available on iTunes, but on Audible, you just slide me a credit instead of paying for it. Sometimes that's easier to do. Of course, you can always check out my other books, Dragon in the Needles and Chubby Wizard, Wrath of the Manticore. They're all available as ebooks, paperbacks, and audiobooks.
How can you ask for anything more? Now, what many people might not know is our guest here actually does some podcasting herself. Krista, tell us more about your stuff.
Well, thanks, Adam. I'm actually part of the Unspoiled Network, and so that means that I have 2 shows right now. One is called Undeclared: The Vampire Diaries, and the other one is Unspoiled: The Constant, which covers Lost. The premise of Unspoiled is that one person has seen the entire show and one person doesn't know what the heck is going on. And as usual, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I get to be the unspoiled one. Check it out.
All right. Very good. iTunes, Stitcher, that whole 9 yards, I'd imagine.
Yep.
Very
also
good.
On Patreon.
There you go. And if you would like to listen to anything else that I do, I want you to check out The Film Find at thefilmfind.com. This week we'll be reviewing this movie. We'll also be reviewing Lego Ninjago and Friend Request, or Unfriend Request. I don't remember what the heck. It's not going to be good, so I'm sure. But we'll watch it anyways because that's what we do. We're sadists. And Preacher Podcast is just wrapped up. So, but still, if you're going through the reruns and stuff, go check that out. And of course, Saturday evenings at 10 p.m., go to nerdtalknow.com. I do a live show with a lot of audience participation. This last Saturday, we had a lot of people in the chat room and stuff, and everybody, we played a game of Google Feud. It was quite fun. So check that out, everybody. That is it for us. Join us next week when we're reviewing our Patreon special episode, Weird Science. For Krista, I'm sorry if I don't have your Cantino Sambe. Oh, was that pretty good? That's pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
I had it. I didn't have it in front of my hand, and you know me. I'm not a very smart man. I'm not a very bright man, Jenny. And of course, Bruce Leslie. My name is Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty Navy.
Bye.